We are still in Noya district bringing you the journey of Mr. Arthur, who is the owner and founder of Lad Mix Farm right here in Noya district. Where I am standing right now is 6 acres of chili, and we call it in different ways. Some people call it red pepper, some people call it chili,
Kamlara.
some people call it kamlara. Of course, it's hot,
Yeah.
and we're standing in the hot sun today, right here with Arthur. Arthur is doing quite a lot, amazing thing actually, and he's sharing with us his journey. He's doing pineapple, he's doing chili, he's doing pawpaw, he's doing goats farming. It's doing amazing thing right here in Nuoya. So if you are interested in farming any of those things that I've mentioned, then it's the right person. He's having a lot of good information. So let's welcome him here today. We get to know his journey, and we get to know more about Chile, and then the economic potential of Chile right here in Uganda and in northern Uganda.
Okay.
You're most welcome.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Charles.
It's good to have you again today.
Me too. I'm happy to host you.
Yeah. So for someone who is watching us for the first time, let's get to introduce yourself, and then we talk about Chile.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm called Arthur, and I work here at Lad Mix Farm. We are based in Nuoya, Bajere Parish, and now this is the chili garden that we are into. But we also have some other enterprises that we do.
Yeah.
You're most welcome.
Wow, that's amazing. You are actually among the first person that I've got who is doing chili in northern Uganda. I believe there could be other people, but someone who is doing it in large numbers, like you have 6 acres. So when did you start this chili, and then how is the journey going so far?
Okay, I also got to learn from another farmer who's based in Omoro, and he was doing chili. So I paid a visit to him. That was last year, mid last year. So I got to learn how lucrative it can be.
Yeah.
And so started with 1.5 acres of the Cayenne variety, somewhere at the other side.
So is this the Cayenne variety?
No, this is called the Demon F1.
Oh, okay.
I went for Demon F1. It's normally liked when it is red, but for us we decided to be, churning it and also giving out to the buyers when it is green, because I realized when it is green it gives us more volumes, more regularly than when it is red. Yes.
Okay. So you can sell it when it's still green or when it's red, you know?
Exactly, because for chili they either want it either dry.
Oh, okay.
That is for the whole, let's say if it is the bird's eye.
Yeah.
But for these other varieties like Cayenne, like Demon F1, sometimes they would want it red or green, fresh green, fresh red or fresh green.
Okay.
And the Demon F1, basically they normally love it when it is fresh green, but when it is fresh red.
Yeah.
But for us we decided to go for the fresh green, because when you do fresh green, you are going to harvest every after 2 weeks, because as you pick the green, it keeps on flowering, and then you end up getting more fruit. When you leave it to be red, definitely you know that when you leave something long until up to the point at which it turns red, that means it has consumed more time.
Yeah, true.
That means when you harvest it, you have to give it also that other time to start rejuvenating, flowering again, and giving you. So in terms of harvesting in a given period, say 1 year, if you're harvesting, say, the green, and you're harvesting twice a month, the red one may not have that regular, kind of harvest, and that's what we have actually experienced on this farm.
Okay. Chile, it's kind of unique, but the fact that not many people are doing, I think it's probably something that people should think of.
Yes.
And now, talking about the market of Chile, is the market really in Uganda, or you normally target the outside market?
Oh, thank you so much. Now, for Chile market, the market is so huge, by the way, but it's more or less the export market outside the country.
Yeah.
As you can notice, not so many Ugandans eat chili. If I ask you, do you eat chili in your food? You find that you eat it, but not as regularly or as intensely. Like maybe you have food, also the salads and so forth. You'll find that generally the consumption of chili in Uganda is not as much. Save for the period when we had COVID, that's when people try to go for it. But mostly we grow this for the export market, and the market is very good.
Okay. Wow. Oh, so now, in other words, if you're trying to start chili, what is the lowest amount of acres you should start with, or what should be the size if you're planning to start?
I think it remains an open question, because you can start with any amount depending, because but what I always tell you, what determines the volume you're going to plow and plant is the market.
Yeah, that's
so. I always tell people that before you do anything, first reach out for the market.
Exactly.
And so if you go and visit some of these exporting companies, they'll be able to tell you actually the variety that they prefer you to plant.
Yes.
They'll ask you the kind of size of land you have to be able to give them that crop. And depending on your capacity, whether you're able to do 2 acres or 10 acres, you'll just let them know. But remember that as you determine the number of acres to go for, it has an impact on the kind of manpower you should have, because it's not something that you can harvest alone. It's teamwork. It involves a community to come in and be able to to participate in the harvesting process.
Oh, okay. Chile, something that it's actually this is something that I'm quite interested in. The fact that now you said you got the idea from someone in Omoro.
Yes.
I think I'll probably have to visit that farm.
Okay.
There's a farm I think I saw in Omoro. So anyway, we'll talk about that. So talking about Chile, especially in northern Uganda, because that's the focus.
Yes.
And this is where you are. You've been doing it for quite some times now. How is chili growing in northern Uganda, and how is the response of because there's different types of land every region. What is the response, especially with the land in northern Uganda? Is it something that grows very well, or not so well?
Okay, as you can see, the chili is performing very well. If you look at the volumes that we have, when you look at the way it is performing, you will notice that it can be quite, too much.
Exactly. It's actually nice looking.
It is performing very well. So for certain diseases, I think it's a virus that I've noticed in the garden that is wreaking havoc. But when you identify it early and you pluck out some of these infected plants and throw them out, or when you get in touch with an agronomist of that particular company or at the district, they can be able to help you and tell you the kind of chemical that you can use to spray and be able to avert. But in some cases, even if, for instance, what we have here, even if you try and spray, it's a virus. When I brought in the agronomist, they advised that I just pluck it out and make sure that this soil does not move. You scatter it and now you just shake it off and be able to carry this plant and throw it away. So that's the major challenge we are having. But in terms of response, the soils in northern Uganda can accommodate green chili, chili very well. And it's something I would really interest members to really adopt. Only on that you need to first find the market. Find the market where you're going to sell the product. Agree with them the volumes you're capable of harvesting in that particular acre, because I always tell people that if you have 2 acres, you are able to harvest at least 500 kilograms every after 2 weeks. And that is quite high. And that means you should also be able to have in mind that you have to find a way of how you're going to take it to the market. Do you have your own means of transport, or you're going to use public means? And if it's public means, you have to go and have an understanding with this particular transportation company. Like for us, that's what we did. We're in touch with one of the bus companies, and so we have an understanding. When I'm going to harvest, I just notify them a day before, and they will reserve me space in the boot, and then I can be able to take it. Remember, this is a product you harvest on order, and it is a perishable. Yes, yours is to always keep tabs and with the exporting companies, alerting them that the chili is there and the amount of volume that you're going to have. I only advise members that once you go into this trade, don't rely on only one exporting company. Ensure to get 2 or 3. Remember, you have 2 acres which are giving you 500 kilograms, and you're not the only farmer. Probably somebody in the central or in the West Nile or in Eastern has also planted and is supporting some of these companies by supplying them. So in some cases, they will tell you they want maybe 200 kilograms. So when they tell you they want 200, where are you going to put the surplus of the 300? Remember, you need to harvest it every after 2 weeks. So once you get to understand these people, you have to reach out to more than one exporting company and get to listen from them. So when you're harvesting, you know that you're dealing with the 2 or 3 companies. Even if all of them request for an acre, try to make sure that you divide it accordingly. But in most cases, some of them don't get to know that you're supplying the other, because then when you give them less, they'll tend to think that you're favoring the other ones, which is not the case. So that is for your own information, but make sure you try to keep everybody comfortable. Supply them, but make sure you also supply the other, especially during times when there is scarcity, during the drier seasons or off season. But in the rainy season, then some of them will remember and say, okay, when we were hard up, he was consistent, he kept us giving. He kept giving us chili. So they'll also consider you somehow. You'll find that you're at a better advantage. Yes.
Someone may be wondering, because just like other crops, normally they have a season that they perform well. Like some don't want dry season, maybe some don't want rainy season, something like that. How is chili? Does it perform well in a specific season only, or any season it's okay with it?
Thank you so much. I would say that it performs in all, depending. You must have sufficient amount of what? Water. Now, for us that depend on rain-fed, farming, I advise that if you're interested in this crop, particularly in northern Uganda, because by the way, what I didn't tell you from the start, it's you get the seeds and you establish a nursery bed. So once you establish a nursery bed, it's from there that you bring and transplant to your main and shift to your main garden. Now you have to do that one in Feb. Establish your nursery bed in Feb, because it will take these seedlings 1 month in the nursery bed before you shift them. Meaning by the time you finish Feb and you're coming into March, mid-March, when the rains are beginning, you should have your gardens ready, and then you do the transplanting. Remember, you'll have rains like for 3 weeks before it can subside a bit. But by then it will have, gained its momentum, and it will have firmed up in the ground. So there it means that you wait for only the additional 2 months when it is in your main garden, and then it will start flowering, and then you start, harvesting. It grows very fast. Actually, 1.5 months to 2 months, you'll start seeing chilies, and then you start picking. And then after, it keeps on increasing, especially as it continues to branch. And there you'll be able to, get lots of chili. So it performs well. Why we do that? Why we start in Feb, the nursery bed, we want the farmer to maximize the production or the harvesting right from around May up to December, because you can even harvest for a year if you look after the garden properly. And you're harvesting twice every month. And if you are 2 acres, you're actually harvesting a minimum of 500 kilograms. So you can imagine, if you're selling that kind of volume to an exporter, say at 2,000 shillings, at least you'll find that every after 2 weeks you'll be able to get 2 million shillings if you look after the garden properly. But also when you've worked out the market bit effectively. Remember, if you just plant it and you've not gotten your market fast, then you might lose out. Who's going to eat this chili? And you may not manage to dry it out. But At the same time, if you want to make even more money, you do what you call off-season farming, meaning you establish your garden around the October, and say August, September, October, your nursery bed. By October, November, you're transplanting. So by December, you start harvesting. But that's going to be off-season. Remember, that's when in this part of the country we are going into the dry season.
Exactly.
December, January, February, March, meaning you must plant it where you have sufficient water to do the irrigation.
True.
But that one will also make sure that you get premium price, because that's when it's also needed most and it is missing all over the country. Remember, the whole country will be in the dry season. But additionally, apparently that's when winter is also beginning in Europe. Beginning December, the winter kicks in, January, February, March, April. So when it is so cold in Europe, that's when it's actually dry season here. And when it is very cold, that's when they actually want this chili. So when you plant and make sure you're harvesting around that, you'll see even exporters really running, coming to your farm all the way from the city. They can even offer to do the harvesting, because everybody's looking for it and they cannot easily find it. And so it will give you a premium price. You can even end up selling a kilogram at 4,000 shillings and beyond, depending on the variety. Remember, here we are talking about chili farming. But there is also what they call hot pepper. That's a different matter. That one is very complicated per se. You'll find that in Uganda, maybe 90% of people into chili is way much easier to look after than the hot pepper. And so, but all those ones, the demand is quite high. The exporters are there. Exporting companies are quite many. And you'll be able to find out. By the way, if you want to find out how we do the propagation of the nursery bed, if you want to look at how we do the transplanting, and how you identify the markets and so forth, you can check us on our YouTube channel, Lad Mix Farm. I'm sure Charles has told you more about it before, and you'll be able to learn more. We've done several videos around that, and so you'll be able to appreciate the challenges that we also go through. But that's to show you that there's a lot of resource information on that channel, and you can be able to supplement with what we are trying to tell you here.
Now, for someone who does not know how to differentiate, like maybe anyone, you've talked of hot pepper. We do have chili. I'm saying some are green, some are red. Now you've brought in hot pepper. What is the difference between those two?
Hot pepper normally, they are normally big. Around, and and for them they're even more potent in terms of its bitterness. And for it, actually, when you start harvesting, you find yourself harvesting like twice in a week. It continues that way. But the problem is, when it comes, it is easily affected by diseases and pests, and that's why most people tend to fail, because at the same time, for it to harvest when it is beginning to turn yellow, orange, or red, that's how they like it. But remember, if you have not looked after your garden properly, especially with applying things like fruit fly traps and spraying against pests and diseases, they like boring the hot pepper. And so by the time they go and check it out in the lab, you find either there are eggs or there are maggots in the chili, and therefore it's normally rejected. So for you to go for hot pepper, you really need to be very good at your game and pay attention that is required.
True.
Yes, please.
Oh, wow.